Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves some tracks off of an album titled Desk Job from an act named Colony Couch. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a album on Spotify here. We've got the art here for you there with the cute looking shark at the desk. We've got 3 tracks we're going to be checking out today titled Casino Beach Bums, Desk Job, and Christian School Drama Class. We're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. We're also going to be giving each of these tracks a score out of 10 based on a variety of different criteria, but let's get into it. Casino Beach Bums. Ooh, so full of life immediately, man. Great transfer to those rides there, man.
Look at all your dirty faces now. Like a second wave that caught me in a swell. It showed me this paradise is hell. I won't watch you fail this test again. Try to fall apart the best we can. 24 years for 24 days.
Phenomenal lead guitar harmonies as well.
Try to find the words for the past 12 hours. I spent 7 more asking why I even try. Got great responsibility, but got no power. 'Cause you look like Peter Parker when you cry. You won't watch me fail this test again. Try to fall apart the best we can. And I won't try to pretend that I won't die. But at what cost will I break? At what cost will I break? At what cost will I break? At what cost will I break?
Phenomenal harmonies vocally as well. It's tremendous. Reminds me a lot of the bands I heard in the mid-2000s like Blink-182, Sum 41, etc. It's got a great overall aesthetic with a combination of the vocals, guitar, bass, and drums, Casino Beach Bums. I'm not sure what the track is about. I think it's about someone based on the lyrics. Like, I'm not sure how to tie the title to what is going on with the lyrics is what I mean. They were talking about like they don't want to fail the test again, or they're not going to see me fail the test again. You get the impression that they're going to break, and at what cost? Like, what cost will they either break or break through? You know, what are the consequences going to be if I do or don't, you know, pass this test? I'm wondering if it's like a story about kind of like overcoming challenges. And they talked about someone crying, so I'm assuming that there have been some pretty severe repercussions in the past for like not being who they need to be for this other person. It's an engaging story, and there's a lot of angst and intensity expressed with the vocals there. The way with a bit of vocal fry as well. Interesting main and vocal harmonies as well. It's just a really intense experience, but it's so gorgeous with those lead guitars. They sound tremendous. I love how they niche together and form these wonderful major minor intervals there. They're very sort of like, it's a gorgeous tone as well to the guitars. You got interesting use of like power chords, as well as some ninth ones as well. We might be in drop D or something like that. Might be easy to get those shapes, but yeah, the drums are tremendous as well. Great use of different 8th and 16th note groups, the bass and the bottom kind of reinforcing those root notes, and ultimately just a really stellar performance. The studio production is quite tight as well. So yeah, a really good start to proceedings. For track number 2, Desk Job. And synths now, if there weren't before. I like how the two singers are in different vocal ranges. They've got distinct timbres and textures as well. They take turns, and they niche well together because they're an octave apart within the overall harmony.
I'll clean my axe and we'll call it fair trade. One day's job and a 401k. Money dry, young red or days. One day's job and a 401k. Mine's up in my insurance bill again. I always thought it was a scam till the night when you said you were dating. Take a DUI or a night in jail. Or the killing blow of my best
Fantastic shift of the drum auxiliaries there as well. Good.
seen better acting in middle school plays. One day's job and a 401k. 'Cause tomorrow won't determine my today. One day's job and a 401k. One day's job and a 401k. One day's job and a 401k.
Gorgeous, man. Fantastic use of phasing in the stereo field for that one. That was Disc Job, track number 2. I think that we had a great time exploring that extra synth layer. I think it was fantastic having additional texture in a mid to high range there to sort of shake things up a little bit. Again, the use of the phase, I think, is going backwards and forwards, just made for an interesting sort of development in the end part there. As I mentioned in the track, it was great to hear both vocalists in respective ranges niching together, taking turns, and then harmonizing together as we went through like the Desk Job and the 401k part. I get the impression that this is talking about their life like up until that point. I'm not sure whether they actually want the Desk Job and the 401k or whether they're wanting something else. When I talk about their tomorrow won't determine their today or something like that, it's almost like they're saying, I still want to go on my own path, and I know what I need to do, but I also don't want to dictate what I need to do to be who I am, who I need to be now, if that makes sense at all. I'm not quite sure. I need another time listening through it, but either way, I think it was an interesting track there. The vocals were solid. The guitar parts were tremendous. I love some of those harmonized lead guitar parts we had throughout the track. There were some interesting melodies that were played, especially near the end, with the kind of there's like a kind of a perky kind of swanky in terms of like the phrasing of the leads there, the way they integrated within the mix. It was really slick. And then you had the tremolo parts near the end, which kind of rose up there with a bit of kind of like a fervor, just to have this big outro. They did a similar thing with Casino Beach Bums. I love their outros and kind of building them up, and then bam, it's done. Then next track, they hype you up as they go along through the album. But again, Desk Job was another solid performance. I liked the way the guitars, bass, and drums sound production-wise within the mix. They've got a glow to them. There is no resonant frequencies. It's very well handled, and I think ultimately this is just a really professional sounding album. Oh, and I just wanted to mention before we move on, that part with the drums, we kind of switched things up, and we kind of went like kind of double the time, but we kind of split it into different segments within the bar. There were like the snares and the kicks, like the doubling the kicks and stuff with the fills. The tom fills, it was just great. I enjoyed that fill part as well. And then finally we have Christian School Drama Class. Bit of a longer track, but that's okay. We'll see what we do with it. The harmonizer effect there, nice. Is this an instrumental? Heavy line there, man.
goes away. I'm exhausted, but I can't let it end this way. Dull salt on the highway, and hope it's lasting.
Interesting panning there. This was definitely a heavier one, wasn't it? And that was a Christian school drama class. Fantastic. Really well done, really well handled. I've just realized that I haven't had my main lights on for a lot of this review, so I apologize about that. Hopefully that isn't too different. It shouldn't be too much. I've got like a thing that fixes the lighting on here, but Christian school drama class and the sort of chaotic intro with the different instruments rolling around the place. I think first of all, I can kind of relate to that because I remember being at school and that was what music class and other sort of like artistic things were. They were kind of a mess when you start out. There were all these noises, all these thoughts going ahead. And then I hear the talking about being exhausted and then talking about like how it's not going to be enough and everything like that. And I kind of need to go back and hear the words exactly. But you get the feeling that they're struggling with the situation they're in. They just kind of sort of like keep into themselves and like maybe not feeling okay with expressing themselves. And they inevitably get to a point where it just becomes too exhausting. I'm not sure. I kind of get the feeling this is maybe the source of what they were talking about later on. Maybe this is talking about why they were the person they were when they were doing this stuff with Casino Beach Bums and Death Job. But either way, interesting tale. And it's a track where, again, we have phenomenal lead lights on the twin guitars there. The panning of that on the sides there with the lower and higher parts, it was sort of surreal just how wide it was. The hooks were anthemic. The vocals, when they were coming in the mix there, they were great because we didn't have the vocals the entire time. The first minute or so was effectively instrumental. And just that shift into a new section, a new transition there was so slick. They went boom, boom, boom. There was absolutely no filler though. We made the most out of 3 minutes 47, so we showed if we could effectively do a short form piece as well as longer ones, and I assumed that if Christian school drama classes like this, the world is an herbivore and we're all government plants. I suppose that would also be like similar qualities. They can handle whatever they want structurally. There was enough going around the stereo field and frequency spectrum to be able to appreciate it there. I think that it was good just to have the guitars in this to be a bit more earnest with the overall flow of the track. The bass line underneath was kind of dope as well. I heard a bit of movement with the lower notes as well in the fretboard there. We weren't just sticking with the roots in this one. We had a bit of adventuring going on. Not too much to the point where it tried to be the focal point, but enough to where like it sort of like was fresh sounding and switching things up in a positive way. And then the drums as well in this part were pocketing now are more supportive of the sort of like almost balladist kind of like a groove we were going for here. This one again was a bit more of a journey, and I like the fact that we were allowing the lead guitars and vocals to take precedent here, despite the fact that the drummer can clearly play. All the instrumentalists in this band can play. But this was another great song. I've enjoyed all three of them so far. I'm just going to quickly tally up the overall score for each track, and then we're going to talk about it more, this album more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion analysis section of my review of these tracks off of the 3 tracks off the album Desk Job from an axe named Colony Couch. These songs titled Casino Beach Bums, Desk Job, and Christian School Drama Class. Now, I've spoken about the tracks in the individual sections. There's like little mini conclusions after each track if we're just skipping to this main sort of like analysis and conclusion section. But either way, the thing I appreciate about this album is I do think this is about them sort of going through their own life, kind of re-examining things that are going on, kind of figuring stuff out if they were making mistakes at the start and they've gone out to pass tests and stuff like that, looking at that 401k job, etc., they'll look and maybe back at Christian school drama class and figuring out who they were as a kid and how that's affecting them as an adult. I think that if that is any way close, I'm glad. If not, I apologize, and maybe I need more time with the tracks, or I need to listen to the album as a whole. But either way, I enjoyed listening to these stories, not because I thought it was great that they were going through those difficult times, but because they were compelling and interesting. The vocalists, both singers, they did great in their respective vocal ranges. It was solid vocal technique and it worked well within the genre. I appreciate the intensity of some of the performances, the bit of the vocal fry there, the way we sort of belted at times there. And we didn't try to overcomplicate the vocal melodies either. The harmonies worked, they were anthemic, they were catchy, but they were also earnest and honest and authentic. And I appreciate the fact we were trying to communicate our feelings and thoughts so transparently. There was dynamic range to the vocal performance as well. We weren't the same loudness the entire time. And ultimately it was very satisfying because of the effort put we in, as well as how sort of real it seemed. How much they really wanted you to understand their position there, and I think it was very effectively communicated. The tracks were typically between 2 to 4 minutes, and I think that was the right length for them. The first 2 tracks, Casino Beach Bums and Desk Job, were shorter, and I think they had shorter stories that sort of more exemplify what they were trying to accomplish there. And the guitar, bass, drum parts, as well as the synth and Desk Job, did a fantastic job of moving us forward within them and kind of helping to appreciate what was going on. I think the Christian school drama class was a little bit longer, and it had a kind of a chaotic sort of instrumental section at the start, going back into sort of a more sort of measured theme, before then finally coming in with the vocals a bit later on. And so it shows that we're not only aware of how to create short form pieces that are more to the point, we can also have a bit more range to mess around with the stereo field and do a few fun production things, but also we can make a song that initiates a sense of an atmosphere and environment there, and it makes you wonder what's going on from just the instruments alone. And I think that's really clever, and they are they're very versatile as a band, and they should be proud of themselves for the fact that they can accomplish that. This is not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult to be able to have that kind of flexibility, but they do. The instruments that I appreciated within this album as a whole were the guitars. I appreciated the use of power chords and octave chords with the interesting lead melodies and harmonies that we had there, as well as solo sections. And I just appreciate the effort that they put in as well on the sides of the stereo field, arpeggiating stuff, moving stuff around the stereo field with the panning, as well as that kind of really kind of wonderful thing in the last track there, and that we reviewed. What was it? Christian school drama class, were they were on either side and they were going da 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 da. It was just one of those kind of unexpected situations where I don't think I've heard stuff that clean before on that side there. It just played that well. It was artistic and creative, and I appreciate that we were not just playing or writing great music, but that we also tried to make it more like the studio side of things as well. Really cool. We niched our guitar lines well together. There were no points where I was is this really necessary to put this forward? Things felt, again, purposeful, and we have a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition from the guitar parts alone there. Great use of majors and minors for the most part. We didn't get too complicated with the extensions, but we didn't need to. And the tone of the guitars was great. The bass lines we had underneath there were typically sticking the root notes, which I appreciate. So we clearly, it's usually a strong choice, but then we also had some interesting things going on with slight movements away from that occasionally. We went within the scale modes related to the chords we were playing there, and I liked. Oh, right, the guitars did have ninth chords. Just before I remember, I think there were some ninth chords on the guitars there, some glow from that, but that's just in terms of extensions. I think even then it's like a 5 add 9 or something. But the bass guitars were great, and I liked the fact that they were nice and strong and alone. They were kind of subtle in the mix. They weren't too sort of but it could also be these headphones, to be fair. I think the guitars and bass niche well together with the note choices, regardless of whether they were sticking with the root notes or exploring the scales a little bit. I think that the drums as well, fantastic. We were very clearly adept on the kit there, very tight with our grooves there. Fantastic tone to the different parts of the kit there. Very comfortable with the kick, snare, and cymbal patterns. There was a great sort of range of different 8th and 16th note grooves there, and we could play half time, or we could kind of sort of speed things up in the normal time, playing different tempos. Even sort of switch things up with occasional grooves there. We kind of have a little drum solo-ish kind of thing there. We kind of shake things up, and it's kind of vibrant and intriguing because the drummer pockets quite a bit within this. Sorry for hitting the mic. The drummer hits pockets quite a bit within this album, but then at certain parts they just show how talented they are, and they have a great sort of sense of expression there, and it's really tight rhythmically as well. And like when you get all these different instruments niching together like this, you have tracks which you have music which is utterly gorgeous with the guitar harmonies there. There is also a sense of pain from the tone of those same guitars as well, though, with the bass kind of providing a kind of foundation underneath of them, and a drummer, the drums kind of keeping you moving along there and a steady pace there. Well, you know, like varying tempos, of course, but it's just there's strength within this album, in part due to the fact that they're trying to, with the vocals and guitar, communicate something, and the drums and bass often back that up. And then the synth, of course, was kind of it was just cool texture and mix and a nice alternate lead sort of melody harmony and like the frequency spectrum there in the ether. But I enjoyed the instrument choices. I think it was good to have the synth as an occasional thing, especially with the fact it's going wow like that. I think if you'd done that more than once, it might have been like, hey, we're potentially trying to do the same thing twice. I think like when you went to not have things and when you went to like take things back, like I think there was like the sound design with the Christian school drama class as well, with the way the instruments were done at the start, with the guitars and all those takes and the side stereo feel. But again, themes were strong, performances were solid, not out of place, great chemistry between members involved, and it's just the studio recording, mixing and mastering, and the production was tight on this as well for the most part. I really appreciated the tone of the vocals, guitar, bass, drums, and the synth in this. I think that there was phenomenal use of, the stereo feel, putting things on different sides, moving things backwards and forwards there. We understood that, and it was like not just 0 or 100, you could put things around that in the spectrum, you know. There were no reason for using this frequency spectrum there. The things were nicely niched and EQ'd. It was quite a tight mix, you know, there were no issues there. And there was dynamic range, things were not the same loudness all the time, but it was still nice and loud without bumping, so the bass compression limiter was handled, and the guy they can just clearly sing as well. They didn't overprocess their vocals, it was just a tight vocal performance all around. So thank you very much for watching my review of these tracks off an album titled Desk Job from Colony Couch. This album got an overall score of 7 out of 10, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.